Hello again, conference report. I apologize, for my second video response again being posed in the form of a question, but I'm still just a student, and my goal in life at the moment is to learn, and what better way to learn than by asking questions. So, in your latest video, you continue talking about the transparent society, which is an idea that I haven't read the material where you get your information from, but what you've been talking about it has been incredibly fascinating. And I just want to comment a little bit on your one and ask a few questions about transparent society, the benevolent matrix. In this, you make several references to literature. Specifically, you reference Orwell, and I assume 1984. And maybe some other works. I haven't read any others of his, so I apologize for the lack of frame of reference there. But anyway, so you also mention it's not necessarily literature, but it's film, so it was still written and serves a lot of the same purposes as far as this discussion is concerned. You mentioned The Matrix, and both of which I find fascinating. I loved what I've read of Animal Farm, also a good one, in my opinion, of course. But anyway, so I've liked what I've read of George Orwell's. I've liked his thoughts, and I really like The Matrix. It is in my collection of Blu-ray discs, which in it are only movies I would consider some of the best, in my opinion. So I'm all for the reference of literature, but it brings up an important a question and an important observation, I think, in the sense that many people are willing to go to literature above other sources for things like this. And in this situation, it's a little understandable, seeing as we've never successfully made a transparent society yet, in the same sense that you refer to. But so we pretty much have to go with the fictional in this case. But and you examine it a little bit in terms of how it exists and how it's applied in the modern day. But specifically, I want to focus not necessarily on your use of literature, but on humans, on our use of literature to display points. Whereas you talk about these things, and you talk about them as just one possible instance, which is, I believe, a proper and a rational way, a reasoned way of going about referencing literature for the use in these intelligent discussions, I guess. So many adjectives there that probably should have been spared, but nonetheless. So we people like you and other people similar to you in their use of literature might reference it as a single option for the future, or single thing about a single instance of something. Whereas, I don't know, I mean, I've noticed, and I apologize here for not being able to offer too much necessarily empirical evidence or documented proof of this claim, but at least in my discussions, I've noticed a lot of people using things like 1984 or Animal Farm or The Matrix to preach against such things, to preach against various political or economic philosophies, and in this case, a societal philosophy concerning the transparent society. But based on, and I don't know where that sentence was going, but it's ended. But I was just curious as to necessarily why this is. Why is literature that is best used as a single instance of something happening, rather than a comprehensive analysis of most possible outcomes, or the most likely possible outcomes? Why is it used in such a way that 1984 is the only possible thing that can happen should, there be a transparent society and whatnot? Why would somebody say that, that's if you do that, you're going to get something like Orwell envisioned? I actually had somebody. Again, I have no documented proof of this, so I apologize. But I was talking with a friend of mine, and I, about the Transparent Society and the ideas that you present and all that. And he brought up some of these points, and it really just got me thinking about this. And, it's come up a lot. I'm very politically active. If it isn't obvious by my name, I'm the werewolf activist, which, unless you've seen some of my older videos, you don't know that it comes from a bumper sticker I have that says equal rights for werewolves. It's obviously just a bit of a joke, but I am fairly politically active. Not only in my discussions, but in getting out there and actually trying to accomplish things by way of, protest. Or, wow, lots of bugs came out of nowhere. I guess that's what I get for walking close to a lake. And a very swampy lake at that. But I think I should invest in some bug spray. And I think that's going to end this real quick, because those bugs just threw off my train of thought. But in summation, I'm just curious as to your thoughts on this phenomenon. And if you have another video where it better discusses this, feel free to point me in that direction. Because I haven't had a chance to watch through your 900 something videos, and I don't think I ever will. Which is fine with me. But I was just curious. You responded to my last video in a text comment. So, and I highly appreciate that, by the way. It's sometimes very gratifying to have someone who I've come to look up to, I guess, in an intellectual sense. Comment and say, oh wow, you made this point that I didn't necessarily see. It's kind of rewarding. It's one of those things that kind of makes me want to think even more, want to offer up even more thought. For the, so when occasionally I can offer up some sort of original thought or completely independent thought and all that fun stuff. I apologize for any slightly bad sound. I just noticed that every now and then it peaks up into the red. Well, that's because I mic checked within the woods, as you could see in the background earlier. And then now I've exited into the windy open areas. So the wind is clearly picked up, and I apologize for that. Anyway. Just as a quick amendment onto, just add to the last bit of this video where I respond to the Benevolent Matrix, and the fear of a transparent society. I just want to comment on that. I've seen that fear expressed very much so today. As I walk along in this park. It's a public park, and I am recording myself, but and I'm not specifically trying to record other people. My face fills the screen at most times, but people still look at the camera, and they are fearful. They're fearful of their actions, their events, their image, just being recorded and doing something mundane. They're not doing anything that they should fear society knowing they're doing. They're exercising. They are doing something that is actually deemed worthy and looked upon in a very high regards by society. Yet they are fearful of it. They are fearful of others knowing. And it's not about what they're knowing, it's about who they're knowing. And there's nothing really much else I can think about that other than to say that I've observed this very much so. Just today, just a small fraction of this fear I have actually observed. And then that omission right there got me thinking about the content of the first part of this video, and how maybe or not this literature that we're all exposed to, that we're all familiar with, clouds our judgment. Maybe it's because we love that literature that we have that fear. But maybe if we did not read that literature or did not watch that film, this fear would be non-existent. Essentially, I'm questioning the nature of the fear itself, in whether or not this fear is a natural thing that is original to humans and independent to humans, regardless of their exposure to it or not. But you know, or whether or not it was sort of placed in their minds from whenever they last read or watched anything fictional about the subject. But just to end quickly on that note, about like 20 minutes later.